Hi everyone, my name is Amy from N is for Nurse. I'm actually coming to you from the future to let you know that I'm part of an amazing collab put together by Jones Pointed Plate and Amanda Lewis. We are gonna bring to you a bunch of breakfast and brunch ideas that are Weight Watchers friendly. I have a really good recipe picked out for you. I actually ate it 2 days in a row and it was fabulous. It was really good on day 2. Please check out the other YouTubers down below participating in this collab. And with all that said, here we go. What I'll be using is the Weight Watchers 360 cookbook. And the recipe I have chosen today is the baked eggs in smoky tomato sauce with feta and thyme. Here are your ingredients. Here are my ingredients that I'm going to be using. I'm going to use 4, these are fresh eggs from the farm. They're from free-range chickens. I have 4 eggs, obviously from very different chickens. The last batch that we got of these actually came from a Mennonite farm, and then we do get eggs from Dakota. I have some garlic infused olive oil, just FYI, the recipe calls for regular olive oil. I have some actual minced garlic. This is in olive oil, but we're only going to be using a small amount of this. The recipe calls for fresh garlic. I'm using the jarred variety. I have thyme. The recipe calls for fresh. I'm using dry. The recipe calls for paprika, smoked paprika. I'm actually going to be using this Cajun seasoning from Penzeys. It actually is primarily paprika. We have some reduced fat feta, a jar of diced fire roasted tomatoes, some white beans, I'm using organic pinto beans, and a red onion. So let's see what I can come up with to replicate these little dishes, because I don't have dishes like this. I don't know what you guys use, but these are very cute little ramekins. I think I'm just going to use basic ramekins. I'm going to preheat my oven here to 350, so we will do that. Always interesting to do when you're trying to film at the same time. In my pan, I have 1 teaspoon of the infused olive oil, along with my onion that's diced. I did decrease the oil called for in this recipe because I feel like you do not need 2 teaspoons of oil in this recipe. The recipe calls for cooking this for 5 minutes to brown the onions, and then I'm going to add my paprika or my Cajun seasoning in this case, my minced garlic. I'm going to use 2 teaspoons of this minced garlic and some thyme. Because this garlic is in olive oil, it kind of evens out with my decision to lessen the olive oil in the pan. Because the thyme isn't fresh, I am just going to kind of guesstimate. I'm going to put a teaspoon of thyme in this recipe. Once all of this is combined, we're going to add our tomatoes. So the idea is to bring this up to a boil and then bring it back down to simmer for a little bit, about 5 more minutes. Then we're going to add our beans. The recipe calls for the addition now of a cup of small white beans. I had these organic pinto beans in my cabinet. Here's the thing, you guys, we can make substitutions to these recipes if you don't have things readily available. And as long as the calorie count or the point count is the same, it doesn't really matter, and sometimes you get fun new flavors. So that's what we're doing right now. All right, my little mixture is done here. Instead of putting it in the ramekins that you see in the recipe book, it says that I can use a 7x9 pan. Here is the pan I'm using. I have sprayed it with some of this olive oil non-stick cooking spray. Look, you guys, someone just brought me some beautiful tomatoes from their garden. So very excited about these. Okay, so the mixture's going in the pan. Next up, we're going to put our open eggs one at a time over the tomato mixture. Well, one of my yolks broke, but that's okay. So it looks pretty from this vantage point. I think I'm gonna put a little freshly cracked pepper on top. And now it's going into my oven that needs to be cleaned. My timer is off. Let's see what we've got in here. The dish is out of the oven. It actually looks really great. I'm very sad about this little dude. He has been massacred by beans and tomatoes because his yolk broke. But the rest of it looks delicious, so I'm gonna have this for lunch today. The recipe calls for 2 tablespoons of feta. So each one of these little bad boys gets half of a tablespoon of feta cheese. Perfect. And if you are a recipe purist, you would add some flat leaf parsley on top. I don't have any parsley, so we're not doing it. All right, it is time. I have cabinets open, of course. It is time to try our little lunch item. It looks so delicious, and the whole house smells like garlic and onions, and very like rich Italian in here. Okay guys, let's see how this tastes. The consistency of it is awesome. It baked right up. So we're gonna get a little spoonful, a little dangly spoonful. It's so good. Oh yeah, so the tomatoes are really well spiced. The beans add a little extra texture. I did get some of the egg in there. The feta cheese is perfect. So this is really an interesting and different take on a brunch dish, as it were. So I love it. I'm gonna have it with a salad for lunch today. And I will post all of the nutritional information at the end and the points for you guys. But definitely, if you wanna try a little something different for brunch, maybe you're bringing a dish somewhere and you want it to be Weight Watchers friendly. Maybe you have company, you wanna show off a little bit. I think that this is great. This also makes a great lunch or dinner option. So I hope you enjoyed this cook with me. I will see you guys later on my channel. Thanks, stay in orbit, and bye.